Okay. So yesterday we have started creating API. It was our first class of API creation. So the first package we installed is Express. So instead of using HTTP, we are going to use Express to create API because it is easy, more easy than HTTP module. And we also use one new module we used yesterday is .env file, and this is a zero dependency module which is used to uh, import .env file, because .env file is not a JS file, so you cannot use you can import it using required method, right? So for that we are going to use the .env.config, and you can pass the path of this env file. Then whatever the variable we are going to use, we defined inside it, we can access it through process.env and variable name, right? So today we are going to discuss in detail about the middleware. So what is middleware? What is a middleware? So middleware is most of the time used when API call, the request parameter comes in, and the response parameter sending the response from the server, the middleware executed in between request and response, right? So let's create a file just to understand how the middleware works. So let's create a test file over here. Let me go over there, and inside folder let me create one file called test.js. Okay, so here I'm going to use Express, of course, already there, and to create the server, and I'm using a logger. So first import this, I'm creating server over here. Then whatever already there, let me use them, and I'm running the server over here using this. So let me start the server using test.js, right? Node-mon test.js. Now you can see server is running. Okay. Okay. Let me open the chat window so that I can see anybody asking something. Now I'm going to create some routes. Okay. For example, I'm creating the route over here, like home/home, which will display the home, and /about display the about. Let me edit over here. Let me first remove this. Right now server is running properly. If I want to check it from browser, you can see localhost. What is the port over here? It is 5000. Localhost colon 5000/home. You can see home page is displaying over here, right? If you want to call about page, then it is about page is displaying the content of about page is displaying over here, right? Now let's see what is middleware. Now we are going to learn middleware. So as I explained, middleware is executing always executes in between request and response. So to create a middleware globally, we can create any method. For example, like this, I'm creating one method like this to display the log, the logger1, for example, right? And I am defining this function logger1. What it does? So it is just console.log. I will log the logger1 inside the log console, right? and I am using that using use method, which is inside the express logger. Now you can see inside logger it is mentioned over here logger, but right now it is nothing is displaying. Let me call it call the home page once over here, or about page.
Hello.
Yes,
It will be logger one, I think, CK.
yes,
Over here, app.use logger one.
yes. Now you can see the logger one is printing over here. But one thing I want to explain over here as well. If I'm displaying something, defining something in this way, normal function, then you can put it at the below, and I'm calling this function at the top, right? But if you're writing method something like this, or this literal notation of function, then you have it is by default you have to mandatory that you have to define it at the top. After that you can call it, otherwise it will not accessible, right? So here if I want to log over here, let me remove it, not required here. So I'm creating a logger method over here and calling the logger function using a middleware, global middleware, the use method which is inside the express. The logger method is here. So it will always be display inside console whenever I am calling calling any page. So I'm calling about page, logger is display over here. If calling home page, you can also see logger is here, right? So look at one thing. So I'm calling, when I'm calling home page, home one, then request comes from the top client side, then it prints logger first. After that it calls the send the response of home page, right? So first logger is printed over here, the logger. After that the home page console, then the response sent to the front end, right? Let me call the home page once again so that you can understand. So look at first, it will show the logger, then it shows the home page, because logger will is calling first. After that, the API response is sending. Correct. If I am putting this control X inside just below the home page route, then what happened? Let's see. If I'm calling it, then there is no logger available over here because I have mentioned just below the home route, and it is actually the this global logger is used, is executed in linear manner, meaning synchronous way, one by one from the top to bottom, right? So always when you are creating any global middleware, you have to put it at the top always. Correct? Okay. So it is a global logger. So you can just create a method and you can use whenever any request comes to the server, the logger will start executing. Correct. But how to use middleware inside any specific request and response? For example, I want a logger whenever home route is executed. Then how I will do this? Right. So there is one method always most of the time we use the next method. I mention over here, next method. So in next method is very important in any middleware. So whenever this method will be executed, this next method is transfer your control or move ahead to the next method. If I'm not writing over here, then your request will be hang. It will not giving any response. Let's see what happens. Look, now I cannot, it is now loading. You cannot see anything else now. This response is not changed because it is not sending your control to the next method to execute the home. Because so whenever you calling the request, calling this route method, so request comes, but and the logger actually it executed, but after that is not the control not go to the route home route, because there is not next method is commented over here. So next method, the main importance of next method is to transfer your control to the next function. So it is usually used as a return method in JavaScript. Normal JavaScript, do you know what is return? So it will return your by default it is return your control over there without next, right? So in Node you have to use more, every time you have to use in middleware you have to use next method to go to send the control to the next execution program, next code snippet, execute the next code. Okay. Now let's see how we can use. So the same method, I have created the method, I can use it as a global middleware by the help of app.use method. But if I want to use it locally, means for example here I want to use it inside this specific route in this method only, this get method, app.get method, and for home route only, then what I will do, right? So that's why I'm just creating another method which is called auth. Especially most of the time we are using middleware to authenticate our APIs. So we are not going to always use any long code over here, a large bunch of code over here. So you can create a method which we are going to as a middleware, and we are going to use it every time here. For example, I am calling it auth, sorry, because it is executed in between request and response. Right? Again, I'm making mistakes. So whenever I'm calling this, so the request comes, then before sending response, this method is going to be executed. So inside auth method, you can see I am cancelling some text like auth. So whenever calling this, then this auth log will be executed. Is it clear? Do you understand, guys? So look. So now, whenever I call the home API or this endpoint, local //home, then what happens? First, it calls the global middleware, which is logger, right? Then what happens? He is calling the local middleware because it is global logger. Then the home request comes. Then this is local middleware. After that, it start sending the response. Means go inside this get method inside the callback, and it send the response and print the home page console in console. Correct. So it is clear now. Do you have any questions? Anybody has any questions using middleware?
Hello.
Yes.
So what if you want to call this auth middleware in multiple routes? So we have to use the same way, or like we can use some shorthand or like grouping or something.
You can use means you define, if you define it and in global or any specific file. So if you want to use inside any other file, then you have to create another file and you can import it over there, just like a common services. So we are going to create middleware inside in a
No, no,
middleware
I mean
folder. Yeah.
to apply that like we have like a 5 or 10 pages, and I want to check if there is login before accessing those pages. So like you have applied this auth in the home page, right? So to apply all those 10 different routes, I have to add these all individually, or we can group the routes
It's
and apply all the routes together
it's
for the
depend
message.
upon your requirement. For example, these two APIs are authenticated API. So you can use this auth globally over here, just below it, just above it, so that all the API calling through authorization, it will be first
Okay.
trigger this auth one. Okay, for example, these two API are not open API, not open a public API, it is authorized API. Then you have to use it just below it, below these two routes. Or for example, let me use one thing over here. For example, this logger. So I am using this logger over here. Okay, and let's see what happens. So when I'm calling, because I'm right now what I'm doing, I'm making this home routing as a public, and this is as a for example, this is auth one. Okay, then I'm whenever I'm calling this auth one, say about the about URL or route, then this will trigger, the logger will be triggered, right? So right now I'm using home over here. You can see the logger is not displaying over here in the console because it is just below it. I'm printing, I'm putting this logger just below it, global logger, right? But when I'm calling the home, about, now logger is calling simply, right? And if you want to specifically, if you have to want to use in a specific method, inside specific method, then you can also use in the same way, locally. So
Okay.
using use method, you can make it public, and as it is executed linearly, so you have to just put it just above that code where you want to access it, or you can put it locally, simply. Okay.
Sir, I have one question.
Hmm.
Uh, so we are using next method to bypass the upcoming API call, right? So
Yes.
it can be
Go to the next one.
parameterized as well.
Yes, yes.
Like if I want to make some common changes to the response or request
Hmm.
before sending to the actual route, can it be
Uh,
done in
yes, yes, yes.
middleware?
That is what the concept of middleware. If you want to
Okay.
means it is if I'm creating a middleware over here, this is one middleware, right? So you
Mhm.
can create
Mhm.
your own logic, whatever you want to do, then you can pass it over here, just like auth, right? You can create whatever your authentication process you are going to check the tokens, all that stuff. You can do it over here. After completion of this, you call this next method. So this is the whole thing is a middleware. Next is not a middleware. Next is just sending means moving from this method to another method after execution.
Sir, actually, my question was, can it be parameterized as well? Like, can we modify
Yes,
the request
yes,
and
yes.
response which we are
Next,
getting?
yes, next also get the parameter. I will show you in
Okay.
whenever I'm dealing with error handling, because this is also most important part, because most of the
Right.
Node.js developers just write it in haphazard manner, but they are not
Mhm.
uh, handling the error properly. So we'll
Okay.
see how we can pass the next pass parameter to the next method, and I can use it later on. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other question?
No, thanks.
Okay. Can we multiple middleware in the single route? Yes, we can. Paresh bhai, we can. We can use just like auth. I can use the logger 1 second over here, or I can just enable this one. Uh,
No, I'm asking in the route, how can I bind this one? Like in the home route, you have already binded the auth middleware.
hmm.
So if I have the another like the course or any
I
other, then
mentioned
I
like
will.
this. You can mention like this. Let's see what
Okay,
happens.
okay,
Let's see what happens. Okay. Let's see.
okay.
Let me do this like the same way. Like logger one. Let's see logger one. Let me enable this. I've removed this. Let me put this. Let's check. Let's check what happened.
Because this is very essential, no? When we'll go with the complex route making, then we need sometime more
multiple
than one.
middleware, multiple middleware. I
Yes.
understand. So let's see whenever we are going to use it. Home. Let's see. Look, first auth is
Yes,
calling,
yes.
then this is
Right.
calling, right? So you
So
can do.
I want, yeah, yeah. I wanted to know how, what is the actually the syntax to use. Is it with the array pattern, or it is just like the comma pattern, right?
Yes, comma pattern.
Okay, okay, okay. Thanks, thanks again.
Okay. So any questions? Okay. So now using just we are using the logger over here to create the log file of, inside our application. But there is one package available or module available which is called Morgan to create log file, and you can log it in a, txt file also. You can log file. You can whatever you want to log, you can log it over there as well. So you can see might we can see from here Morgan. Yes. So there are so many parameters available over here. Like you can pass tiny, you can pass dev. So many dev means it will combination of your methods, URL, then status code, then response time, and the length of the uh, content. So it will show. Let me show you an example. So let's close the server. Let me install npm install uh, npm install Morgan. So, okay. So as soon as I save it, it will be visible over here. Now let me, without wasting time, just copy it from here. Just Morgan, I have to import it. Right. Then I am using this one. And I'm just passing this Morgan, this man. Right. Okay. So I've mentioned this. And whenever I call any API, it will be changed. So it will create a separate file. So if you want to show it over here, over there in test file also, I can show you, because the routing already I said over there. So right. So just create a file, and whatever log we want to print, it will be print inside the access.log file. So let's close it. Then node test.js, test.js. Now server is running. Let me call that file route. You can see access log has been created, and you can see this is get methods. URL is /home. It takes 36 milliseconds. and the content length is around, and this is status code, and content it takes 7.444 millisecond. Sorry. So I am using this day one. Okay, these are some predefined format to print the logs. So you can create your own custom format as well, because these are variable available, like remote address, remote user, whatever you want to, method, colon underscore method. You can format your one format, format your log file according to your requirement using those variables, right? So that is fine. Morgan is there. Okay. So now we are going to create a custom route for a create a bootcamp. I just take one example from internet and I'm using this. So one by one we will create project. So for before start project, so first we have to create the simple CRUD operations. So to start CRUD operation, you can see over here. The API URL should be like this. The API slash API, the base URL of course will be there, then API slash version 1, then bootcamps. So this is what the listing of all bootcamps, or this is bootcamp models. Then API version 1 is the courses, the reviews, auth guards means authentication using JWT will see. Then users, the user module will be of course there, which will be associated with all these models. So let's see. So the API, why I'm using version 1 over here? We can use direct API slash bootcamps, API slash courses. Then colon ID, colon delete, colon ID, update, colon ID. Why I'm using version 1? Because most of the time, sometimes you have to change our version, because in first version we are making some changes, in second version you can change it. So we can identify this is version, which version of API we are using right now in the front end, right? So that is the standard practice. So you should use the same. So now I'm creating some APIs, the basic APIs. So in server.js, right now we don't have anything else, it is already there. Then inside this log file, below this log file, we can start using whatever you want. So now I'm going to create a get API, like the API URL will be like this: API version 1 v1 and bootcamps, which will respond the static response I'm presenting right now, sending right now static response. Then it is for get individual response, individual bootcamps details. Now here I am sending a request to create a bootcamp, okay, which is where I'm going to use post method. Then for put I'm going to use update. Put method is going to use for the update, and delete to delete the bootcamp. So let me put it and paste it, copy it and paste it in our file. Okay. Let's do one thing. Just to go to the package.json, inside script, I'm just changing the test to dev, and I can change this script to my shell script command, like nordmon and server.js. Okay. Then for production, you can change according to your requirement. Then this is prod, where for example we can do node underscore env equal to, sorry, for the production, then node server.js. For example, we are going to use this. Now, if I'm going to run this project, run the server, then I have to write npm run dev. Okay, so the same result, like if I'm making some changes over here, also it is running. Node 1 is working because this terminal command is running right now. Okay, let's close it. Now server is running. Let's see how this API is working. So for that, let me open the Postman collection. I hope you are very much aware about it. Those who are API developer, they are very much aware about it. Let's start localhost 300 API bootcamp. So API is not accessible. Okay, why? Because I am not what is the issue? This API is not accessible.
Put request डाल रहा हूँ आप.
Sorry.
Get request होगा. Get request होगा
Okay,
वो
okay,
put
got
request
it,
जो है
got
वो.
it, got it. No, it is actually
और
issue.
वहाँ पर
Issue
डबल स्लैश है इसलिए
yes,
colon 3000 फिर डबल
issue is
स्लैश.
class because API is not means the path is not correct. Otherwise, if method is not correct, then it will show some error. Okay, now you can see my response is here in front of you. If I'm accessing the get API like this, you can access this. If you want to use this one, you can pass any ID over here with get, then :1, for example. Then you can see. So I can accessing this parameter as params.id, request.params.id. But whenever you are passing through query parameter, means question mark and key value format, then it will be query param. Okay, but in this way, if you are passing the variable, then you have to access the params property name. Same, you can access this post. If you put the post request, create the post request. Also it is executing. Okay, then put and delete, it will be executed in the similar manner. Okay, so tomorrow we'll start connecting the database. So in this database we are going to use Mongo Atlas instead of local MongoDB database. So right now in most of the project we also decided to move to MongoDB Atlas instead of local MongoDB, because in AWS also there is no MongoDB available, and the document DB is available but it is too high costly for the client. So we decided to go with Mongo Atlas, and it will provide so many options, so you should go with Mongo Atlas. So in example also I am going to explain you how we are going to connect to MongoDB Atlas and connect to server, connect to database, and we'll execute all the queries over there. So this is normal routing, you can say, using Express.js, but there is one module called router. Using Express router, we can make routing more flexible. So here we are using router. For router, you don't have to import anything else. You just need to call that method. That method is inside Express constructor function. So route equal to router. It's capital route, I think. Okay, express.router, app.router, express here means express, sorry, it is not inside app, it is inside app express. Now you can replace this. I think I can use it router. Then I replace it. In all app. So let's see whether it is working or not. No. Okay, because we have to pass some middleware to concatenate in it. Inside server address, it will not working. Why?